always believe house. Hope you can come by at Christmas and see this place because it is going to be awesome. Today, we're going to learn about linear transformations. The next class period, or the next lesson, is going to be more intense. So this is going to be an introduction. This is something you should have learned in junior high about what happens to a line. So let's study about what happens to a line when you change the numbers in an equation. And let me record this, or I will be talking for nothing. And we are recording. A magical whiteboard appears in the office of the Always Believe house. Okay, so what you're seeing now is the worksheet you should have printed off. Okay, it's about linear transformations. And what we're going to do today is we're going to take the 8th grade equation that you learned and we're going to figure out what this plus or minus does, what the m does, and what the b does. Okay, so the plus and the minus is going to make the line go up or down, right? That's your slope. Basically, it reflects the line across the x-axis. So if it's positive or negative, if it's a negative, it's going to reflect the line across the x-axis. Okay, the slope is going to rotate the line around the y-intercept. The slope or the steepness of the line, right? Okay, so the slope, it should be is. The slope is the steepness of the line. So it's going to make it more steep or less steep, okay? And then the b is your starting number. And the starting number basically moves the line up and down. It goes up or down, right? If you change the starting number, it's going to translate the line up or down. Okay, so we're going to write down the word translate on that. Now, the next class period, we're going to look at a little bit more on the slope, what is actually happening, okay? So we're going to go through here and we're going to talk about what happens to the mx plus b form, okay? So the first thing we want to do is graph y equal x. This is called your parent function. So write that down. You need to know that. The parent function of a linear function goes to the origin and the slope is 1. It's going to go straight across the grid. So on every one of these problems, you're going to draw the parent function. So that is our parent function. Now then we're going to graph y equal x minus 2. Notice there's no sign or number here. And the only thing that's changing is that negative 2, right? Okay, so we're basically going to go down to negative 2 and we're going to draw another line that's going to have a slope of 1 in it. Is that right? Okay, so basically our line's going to be this, right? Now then, notice it's parallel, so the slope didn't change and it wasn't reflected across the x-axis. This line was translated down 2 units. That's how you will write that. So if the b changes, this is your b number, right? If the b changes, you're going to write down the word translate. The b changes, you're going to write down the word translate. Let's go to the next one. On the next one, we have y equal negative 2x. Remember, the first thing you're going to do is draw the parent function. So the parent function goes to the origin, and the slope's 1. It basically cuts your xy coordinate in half. So this is our parent function. Now then, we're going to graph the next line. Notice this line does not have a starting number, does it? So it will not be translated or up or down. It's going to be flipped across the x-axis, though. So the new line is going to go through the origin, but it's going to go down 2 over 1, right? So our slope is going to be negative 2, and the opposite is up 2, right 1? So I have my blue dots, right? So I'm going to go from y equal x to y equals negative 2x. So what does that negative do, and what does the 2 do? Okay? So I'm going to connect these dots, and it's going to do this in it. Okay, so what you're going to write down, this negative is you're going to write down reflect across x-axis. Let me spell that right. And the 2 is going to make it more steep. Okay, increase the slope, let's say, because we're going to change this up in the next lesson. So increase the slope by a factor of 2, let's put it that way. Increase the slope, or increase slope by a factor of 2. That's the word you know now, okay? The word you know now is slope, so I'm just going to keep it like that to keep it simple. So a negative slope means it reflects across the x-axis, then you write down what happens to the slope. If the slope is less than 1, it decreases the slope, right? It makes it flatter. Well, let's go to another problem. Let's find one with a smaller slope. Let's do this one. Let me find one. Let's go to turn the page, and let's go to this one. Turn the page, and let's go to this one. This will be the hardest one you have. So write down y equal x, and then we're going to switch that to y equals negative 1 over 3x plus 1. Everyone with me? So we're going to go from y equal x, and we're going to write down y equal negative 1/3 x plus 1. This is, if you're still confused, you probably get it after this one. So let's graph the parent function. So the first thing we're going to do is graph the parent function. The parent function cuts the graph in half. Draw all those grid points and connect them. That's your parent function, y equal x. Now then we're going to draw the next line. So notice what is changing here. We have the negative, the 1/3, and the 1. There's 3 things happening to this, right? This will be the most complex you get today. So that negative sign is going to flip the line across the x-axis. It won't go up, it will go down on it. The negative 1/3, or the 1/3, will make it less steep. And then the plus 1 is going to translate it up 1. So start with the starting number 1. And then I'm going to do my slope. I'm going to go down 1, right 3. So from this dot, down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3, and I got 2 more dots, don't I? Now then I'm going to go opposite, up 1, left 3, up 1, left 3, and I got that line, don't I? So connect the dots, and I have a different line, don't I? So remember, you graph the line, you start with the starting number, and then you do what the slope says. Now then we're going to write down what happens. The negative symbol will reflect it across the x-axis. So write down reflect across x-axis. Then the 1/3 won't make it more steep, it will make it less steep. So write down less steep by a factor of 1/3. And then we have to talk about the 1. The plus 1 won't translate it down, it's going to translate it up. So you would write down translate up 1 unit. And I'm running out of room, aren't I? Okay, so the negative reflects it. Every time it's negative, you will write down reflect across the x-axis. Every time you have a slope, it's going to make it more steep or less steep. And then the b term translates it up or down. That's all you're doing. So don't make this too difficult. Make sure you can graph the line though. And let's graph this one. And then I'm going to let you do the rest on your own. Okay, so on this one, we're going to do y equal x. So write that down. And we're going to switch that to y equal 3 over 2x plus 3. So on this one, we don't have a negative, do we? So this is going to change the line, and this is going to change the line, right? So when we write this stuff down here, we're only going to write down 2 things. Okay, now then let's graph it. So we're going to graph this first. Y equal x is your parent function, and it will always look like this. And now we're going to graph the slope. Okay, so our slope, then graph the next line. Our next line has a starting number of 3. So graph the 3, and then the slope tells us 3 over 2. We're going to go up 3, right 2 from that dot. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then we're going to go opposite. We're going to go down 3, left 2, down 3, 1, 2, 3, left 2, down 3, 1, 2, 3, left 2, right here. So we have this line, don't we? Everyone see what I just did? So you graph the starting number and then you do the slope. You've got to be able to graph a line. Some of you are still struggling on your star reviews. So hopefully after doing this, you'll be able to graph a line better. Now then, what happened to this line? It was not reflected, was it? But the slope was made not less steep, but more steep because 3 over 2 is more than 1. So you're going to write down more steep by a factor of 3 over 2 and translated up 3 units. That's all you have to do. And if you have a negative slope, you're going to write down reflect across x-axis. That's it. So you write down reflect across x-axis, you write down more or more steep or less steep by a factor or whatever, and then you write down translate up or down. You may not do all three every time. Oh, this one we only did two. So some of them you'll only do one. So you write down what is happening on each of these, okay? And now then let's go to here. This hopefully will make a little bit more sense, okay? So now we're going to write the equation. So the slope is multiplied by a factor of 1/2 and translated down to units. So this is going to be the number, that's going to be our slope, and it's down 2, so we'll have -2. That's all you have to do. Okay, so your slope is going to be your half, okay, whatever it's talking about, more steep or less steep, and then whenever it says translate up or down, that's going to be our starting number in it. So this right here is going to be our slope, and this is going to be our starting number or our y-intercept. Let's go to the next one. Reflected across the x-axis, that means my slope's going to be negative. Translate up 3, that's going to be my b in it. So I'm going to write down y equals, I'm going to have a negative slope. It did not change the slope, did I? So I'm not going to put a number in front of the x, and then it went up 3, so I'm going to put +3. That is it. Piece of cake. Oh, 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 oh. Let's go down to this one. Okay, it's reflected across the x-axis. That means I'm going to have a negative. Slope of 1/4, and then this is going to be my b in it. Okay, so I'm going to write down y equal, my slope is negative, my slope is actually 1/4, x, and then up 5 is +5. That's it. So you're just going from the verbal description to the equation. This is pretty simple stuff. And I think you should be able to do the rest, okay? So pretty easy stuff. If you need help, please message me. Let me stop recording here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me end this meeting real quick. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. It has been fun. What you learned today is how to transform a line in mx plus b. In the next lesson, it's going to be a little bit more intense. So have a great, great day. Remember, you are amazing. You were created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.